Okay, next game here we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now look, 49ers were great last year. Everybody's thinking, I think not Arizona fans, but a lot of the NFL community think this is a slam dunk 49ers pick. I don't know, man. Arizona played San Francisco tough last year in their divisional matchups. I think San Francisco's defense is good. If you drafted Murray, you're going to start Kyler Murray. Daily fantasy, I don't think he's worth it this week. I don't have a great projection on him, but I recognize that you start him. If I had him on my roster, I would start him too. I just don't love the projection. Kenyon Drake, been in a walking boot. Is he going to be full force? Is he going to play? I mean, I don't even know. There are a lot of questions at the time of this recording. Running back here, if it's not Drake, I actually am very comfortable starting Edmonds in his place. I like Edmonds. I've always have. Wide receivers, I don't love it just because of San Francisco's defense. I do love this offense. If you have DeAndre Hopkins, you're going to start him. Fine, you start him every week. But I'm staying away from guys like Kirk and Fitzgerald, and I'm always stay away from Arizona tight ends. I'm just not a buyer. San Francisco, I actually am a start on Garoppolo this week. I am a start on Mostert this week. I'm staying away from Coleman. I believe in Mostert. Wide receiver, we'll see. But I like Bourne if you're on Daily Fantasy. Deebo Samuel right now is listed as questionable. Don't know if he's actually going to break into the lineup. Rookie there I'm cool with. And then Kittle, I have a huge projection on. Rated as either the number 1 and number 2 tight end this week in terms of my projections. Take it away, David.
I think you nailed it. We talked about the tight ends before, and we mentioned Kelsey had 3 touchdowns against the Texans last year. We talked about Hayden Hurst against the Seahawks, who were the second best tight end matchup. George Kittle might be the best tight end in the NFL. He's got the best tight end matchup according to last year's ratings. Arizona wasn't just the easiest tight end matchup. They were by far the easiest tight end matchup. I believe it was by like 2 or 3. Yeah, they on average allowed 13.1 fantasy points to tight end. Number 2, 9.2. So that's almost a 4-point gap over the second easiest matchup. George Kittle, if you're paying up for a tight end in DFS, I think it's got to be either Kittle, Kelsey, or probably Hayden Hurst. Those are your 3, I think, best options this week. Talk about Mostert. I love Mostert. I don't think that Arizona defense is going to do anything to stop him. I actually like Jerick McKinnon more than Tevin Coleman this year. I don't know about this week. I think San Fran's going to be playing from ahead against Arizona. All of the Arizona Cardinals, if you have them seasonal, you have no choice but to start them based on the price you paid. The one thing that I'm really looking at is Kenyon Drake, because we had that little news of him being in a walking boot, and I was all in on him before that. I've kind of tempered my expectations a little bit since then, but I'd like to see, is he playing a full snap count? Is Chase Edmonds getting involved? How much does Eno Benjamin play? Does he play? Again, Edmonds is one of those guys we talked about. If you have an open spot, maybe look at adding him pre-week 1, see what happens, see what the split is. Kenyon Drake, if you have him, you start him. He went off against San Fran last year, so if you have him, don't overthink it. He's in your lineup.
So, yeah, about that quick wrap-up for the running back there. So, Chase Edmonds, I like him, and kind of always have. And I'll say this. So, I mentioned Raheem Mostert. I saw Mostert 2 or 3 years ago in this offense with Shanahan. I'm thinking that's the best running back on this offense. He's eventually going to break through. I kind of felt that with Chase Edmonds until they got Kenyon Drake last year. And then Edmonds, I think, got hurt around that same time. Drake went crazy. What I'm saying is if Drake is hurt to start the year and Edmonds gets carries, I mean, Edmonds could have a really nice set of games. So then we might come back to more of a committee situation than we might otherwise see. So it's a little bit of a risk. Then let me hit you with Kittle here. I love the projection. I agree with everything. What I'm curious about, again, just maybe as an NFL connoisseur, a guy who just likes to watch games, Arizona drafts Simmons. Is he going to be the guy to lock up? Because Arizona knows they had problems with tight ends last year. Is he going to be that guy that kind of locks up? Now, I don't think you lock up Kittle, but I want to see what they do with him schematically. Very interesting. So, yeah, a lot of storylines. I do like this matchup. This will be on a TV.
I think one thing for Chase Edmonds, too, I want to mention something. It's all about the system. Like, if Kenyon Drake goes down, this system is perfect. It's probably the number 1 system. This is going to be news, but it's probably the number 1 running back system in the league from a fantasy perspective. You look at last year, Kenyon Drake in his 8 games, he was over a 50 reception pace. You look at Chase Edmonds and his 1 start, he scored 3 touchdowns. You look at David Johnson early in the year, he wasn't even efficient. This guy was producing from a fantasy perspective. Then some of the deeper analytical breakdowns of the scheme and how it affects the running backs. I did a monster thread on Kenyon Drake earlier this year. If you want to check it out, it's on the website. Arizona was the number one team in yards before contact last year. Number one team in yards before contact. They're putting their running backs in good situations. They spread the field. They like to go 4 wide. It opens up the defense, and it allows those running backs to get to the second level before they're even getting touched. So any point you see Kenyon Drake go down, the upside for Chase Edmonds is real. It's very real. It's top 8, potentially top 5 upside in this offense.
What I like about this, so in my 2019 book, when we were analyzing the offense, and I said, look, we know this is going to be kind of a spread it around offense. We kind of know what we're going to see. Now they add DeAndre Hopkins to this offense, and I like Larry Fitzgerald still, man. I think he's got some juice, but you got Kirk, you got Hopkins, and you got Fitzgerald. Fantastic. They're going to spread it around. Then you got Kyler Murray, who can move the pocket and run around. I had a question about Kyler Murray. Can he throw over an offensive line? Early in the year, they were trying to kind of spread out their blocking to give him throw windows. They were trying to move him around, roll out right, roll out left, and all that stuff. By the end of the year, dude, he was locked in. I have no concerns about that. And what that does is suddenly you can run a shotgun format. You just run these draws all day with the running back. And like you said, dude, he doesn't even get touched until he's about 3 or 4 yards down the field. You get a lot more explosive plays. Then what do you have? You have wide receivers that are 20 yards down the field. So when you're in your second layer, you only have to make one guy miss, and you get a 20-yard run. I love the offense for this running backs. You hit the nail on the head. Let me hit you with the over-under. Arizona +7 versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Niners went to the Super Bowl last year, my friend. I don't see how you can pick Arizona in this spread here. 7 points, you gotta take San Francisco.
Rocco Bot, my picks engine, completely agrees with you. They love San Francisco running away. I think this will be this week 1 is going to be so weird because I think there's going to be a lot of offensive rust. I think there's going to be a lot of somewhat panicked fantasy owners after week 1. So let me just tell you right now, take a breather. If your players look like crap this week, it's going to be rusty, I think, for the first 2 weeks. I think kind of like that Cleveland-Baltimore matchup. Look, San Francisco, I think, is the better team. I think Baltimore is the better team there. You're playing a divisional foe. Slight changes. I think it's going to be within a touchdown. I don't like giving up more than a touchdown. I'm not going to put my money on it. I won't bet my money on it, but if I have to make a pick, I'll say Arizona covers, San Francisco wins, and we'll leave it there.
Let me just hit on that one more time because you talk about the rust, and I think that's a good point. Because coaching could have a lot more to do with the success of teams early in the year while these players are rusty. And it kind of goes back to me. The San Francisco coaching staff, Kyle Shanahan, I have a lot more faith in them putting their rusty players in good position.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury, maybe he's got offense figured out. They didn't do very well as a team last year, so I don't expect the coaches to get their players to overperform. San Fran, they could plug in anybody and they'll coach them to superstardom. So I'm definitely betting on San Fran in this.
Yeah, and that's that just makes me think of this too. Is the running the big rust is going to be the passing game, timing with quarterbacks and wide receivers and all that, breaking off routes and everything. I think we're going to see a lot of balls into the ground. I think we're going to see lower completion percentages than we're used to seeing. Maybe a little bit more turnovers. But teams that can play defense and teams that can run the ball and teams that have that continuity are going to be at an early advantage. So that's a definite pro in terms of San Francisco. That's a pro in terms of Baltimore because what do? Play defense and they run the hell out of the ball. So there you go. Let's move it on. We got 4 games left.